next item is temporary legislation 11,157, approving the revised general development plan for the Legacy Point PUD. Any discussion on that item? Anyone in the audience like to speak to that item? Give your name and address, sir, speak to the chair. And,
James Saylor from Wright's Engineering Company, 4214 Rocky River Drive, Cleveland, Ohio, representing the builder on this project. Since we were here 2 weeks ago, we have taken into consideration many of the comments that we received in writing and verbally at the meetings. The builder has reached out to a number of the individuals who had concerns and has had some private conversations and meetings with them in an effort to alleviate some of their concerns. Looking broadly at the topics that were brought up, they fall into three general categories: concerns about traffic, concerns about drainage, and concerns about the density of the project. Went over any concerns they may have on that, and we thought that as a result of that meeting, our feeling was that we had effectively addressed what the requirements of the city are for safety, access for safety forces and interconnectivity between the various streets. As far as drainage is concerned, there are significant drainage issues in the area. Because of that, Ms. Fenderbosch did bring the item into her city sewer committee meetings, has initiated some research that the city's doing on examining. We're cooperating with that research. We're providing some actual field location services so that we can try to identify any existing problems and make sure that when we do come forward with a final stormwater design, that any design we do will take into consideration any existing deficiency in the city's stormwater system and reflect that. And final density, as I said at the last meeting, the project is well within city code for density and buffering of existing residents. We did make the commitment at Planning Commission to look at one area in particular to try and provide some additional buffering, try to reduce some of the crowding that seemed to be apparent in that area. And we do stand by that commitment to do that when we come in with final plans. And I would also say that those plans will have to be approved by Planning Commission, will have to come before this body also for approval before any construction is authorized. So you will have an opportunity to look at what we've done to address those concerns.
I also want to point out that we had an opportunity today to actually meet with Mr. Koff and offer some suggestions about the density of our street and the townhomes and the curve around the south end of the street. And so I just want to point out that the discussion is still open. And I look forward to talking to Mr. Saylor and to anybody else who wants to take a look at our ideas. But we just today, for the first time, presented these ideas to Mr. Koff and Mr. Saylor. I look forward to talking to you about them as well.
Again, this is Rossmere and found these in the basement. This is City Hall 50 years ago. If you look to the right here, the council portion is not built yet. And we decorated City Hall for that purpose. This is the southwest corner of City Hall. Basically, Joe Wright's office and his department right below us used to be a three-car garage. And what they did is they added the new garage this way. So that's what the building looked like. Here's Mayor Picken. They had a big announcement with regard to adding on to the power plant in 1962. And Mr. Bessie, whose name is on the nuclear power plant, Davis Bessie Power Plant, was there. Mr. Bessie, I think, is the second fellow there. Mayor Picken is on the right. This is John Early, who was mayor after Mayor Picken, but Mayor Early was a councilman at the time. This is where it gets real neat. This is the council chamber we're sitting in. Look how stark it is with all this concrete block, etc. Obviously, this door is the door right there. The mayor in the middle is Mayor Gary Moore, and we don't have a picture of Gary Moore, so this is the first one we found. Mayor Picken is sitting the second seat over from on the right wing there, and what's really neat is we have I think this is Mr. Recitar, a la Recitar Park. I've never seen a picture of Mr. Recitar. This is Martin Sweeney, and we have a number of other people along here that you might know. These are Gary Moore's, his wife and his children. So we've got various people here in these photos. These are from the mid-50s. And again, this is John Picken becoming mayor. He took over as mayor from Gary Moore, and this is Judge Jensen. Some of you remember Judge Jensen, and there are a number of people in here, including Mike Lash, John Moran, Frank Recitar, Jerry George, Harold Early, who, as we mentioned, Norman Frintz in here, Dave Whitmer, and Del Bates, who was then the solicitor. Now we call him law director. Here's another photo of another council. And again, we've got Del Bates here. This is Ernie Palmer, and the whole list of folks here. Ah, a woman, my goodness. I thought Irma Haverbeck was the first woman council person, but we found, thanks to Valerie. This is Helen Dean, her oath of office, and she took oath of office on the 1st of January, 1956. I have no other information about Helen Dean except that she was sworn in then. She must have served a 2-year term. Irma Haverbeck was the first council president who was a female. We also had Judy Emmerich, who was the council person. In closing here, this is John Picken when he was mayor, obviously, and Del Bates, who needs to work on his posture, and then Ernie Palmer. And then lastly, here again is Frank Recitar and Jerry George and John Moran, who was council president for 3 months. He became council president, then he was transferred and left, and after a big battle to secure the position, the person he was competing with became council president. And this is Mike Lash, who I served with on planning commission when I first was on planning commission in 1984. So this is a treasure trove of information, of dates and names and people that served in this chamber in a different configuration. I thought you would enjoy that. We're going to move these photos with permission. Well, I guess they belong to the mayor's office and council, but I think the best location would be at the library to put them through the proper registration and preservation procedures that the library has. So as we get hold of other pictures that might be helpful to identify names of people, we were able to look at a few here tonight. Thank you for your time.